Yes, guys, promised and delivered. Like I said, we shall have on the channel. It's been an all Arsenal channel, and now we'll have a couple of reactions for the big clubs, the El Clasicos, the Barcelonas, the Manchester Cities, the Manchester Uniteds, and a couple of other clubs. We shall have match reactions, probably news shows for other clubs. It's gonna be much of a twist, so we've got to get used to it. Manchester City have just, I mean, it's been a crazy weekend, by the way. We opened up the crazy weekend by teaching Aston Villa a big lesson, and now Chelsea thump Norwich 7-0. And Manchester City have gone away at the Seagulls at the MX Stadium, and they have done it. 4-1 is the final score, was the final score. And for me, there is nothing new in this one. City have done what they do best. That's it. They have done what they do best. In most cases, in most times, City are a club that just get points when they want to, when they need to. They don't care whether they have a striker or not. They don't care whether they have. I mean, it doesn't matter. 4-1 has been the final score, and in the second half, I think Brighton played poorly in the first half, and I was still waiting for Graham Potter's men to get a real test this season. They started off so well, and I said this in the during the Arsenal game in reaction and the match preview, and I said Brighton have started have started off so well. They're among the top 5. Can you imagine? They're actually not not among the top 5. Brighton are among the top 4. Can you just imagine? They are 4th on the table, 15 points. They played 9 games. They have collected 15 points, and they have a goal difference of 0 after conceding 4 goals today. That means if you take away the 4 goals they have conceded, actually the 3, they would have a positive 3 goal difference with 15 points. They have been remarkable. Their start to this season has been absolutely remarkable. But for me, I had a couple of questions on my own end. How long were they going to treat this? For how long were they going to be that good? Because, look, we've got to accept they've been good. They've been absolutely very good, as Brighton. But for how long were they going to keep it up? For how long can they do it against the big sides? Can they get these good performances against the likes of Chelsea, against the likes of Liverpool, against the likes of Arsenal and Manchester City? Against Arsenal, I feel like they crumbled. They did crumble, and against Crystal Palace, I think their last 3 games, they have not won a game in their last 3, by the way. A draw against Crystal Palace, they were lucky to get a point. A draw against Arsenal were lucky to get a point in that one. And they did not get a point against Manchester City, who absolutely destroyed them, this evening. But if you look at their next games coming up, they have Liverpool away from home. It's going to be Saturday, 30th of October. They have Liverpool. Then they will play Newcastle, they'll play Aston Villa, they'll play Leeds, West Ham, and Southampton. So if you look at their fixtures, actually, until January, their fixtures are a little bit winnable, because in January, actually in December, that's when they'll play Manchester United in the same month, Tottenham in that same month, and Chelsea in the same month. But apart from that, I think their fixtures, their upcoming 5 or 6 fixtures are absolutely winnable. City, there is nothing you can say about Manchester City when they win a game. That is Pep Guardiola. They had 20 shots at half time, 20 shots on goal at half time, and that speaks volumes of the quality and the class and the level at which they are. Of course, it's been a match of a big difference in terms of class and level. Manchester City are big spenders, and Brighton are not. They're only thriving of having a good season. I even don't know how they're doing it. Last season, they really struggled to get goals and things like that. They still struggle to get goals. And for me, my problem with them is while players like Ochen Edwin and players like Patson Daka were available in the summer, they didn't take advantage of that. They didn't. They actually kept on, you know, using Danny Welbeck, not a bad striker for a club like Brighton, but if you have ambitions of finishing in the top 10, if you have ambitions of finishing in the top 12 or 13 spots on the table, get yourself a good striker. Their problem was getting goals. They tried to get Eddie Nketiah. Things never really worked out. I don't think Nketiah is the kind of striker they do need. I think they really need a good striker. They need a serious striker. The likes of Danny Welbeck, I don't think that is really going to work for them. But just to dive into the game and try to see what actually happened, Brighton losing to Manchester City, they won't be ashamed. I mean, nobody gets ashamed for losing to Manchester City. Nobody gets ashamed of that. So City had 23 shots on goal. Apparently, in the second half, Manchester City was so quiet because this game was 3-0 at halftime and 4-1 at full time. McAllister scoring for Brighton was a penalty in the 81st minute. Ike Gundogan scoring for Manchester City, Phil Foden, a brace, and Riyad Mahrez. We'll get to Phil Foden in a while because he's just announcing himself. He's just proclaiming himself as one of the best young talents in English football at the moment. But look, City had 13 shots on target. Brighton had 5. Possession-wise, by the end of the last we saw, actually, I think the second half was a little bit more balanced. It was more of Brighton coming to the table and trying to do their thing because they had a 47% possession. City had a 53%. It was quite balanced. Passes. City had 553 or 52, sorry, and then Brighton had 491 passes. So it was quite balanced, wasn't it? It was quite balanced. Passing accuracy 86 for City, 84 for Brighton. Fouls 10-6. Yellow cards 2-3. Red cards 0-0. Offsides 2 Brighton, 1 for Manchester City. And corners, actually Brighton had more corners, 7, and Manchester City had 6 corners. So for me, it's a game that shouldn't really doesn't affect Brighton. It doesn't affect them. Losing at home to Manchester City with all the quality they have in the manager, in the team, in the players, is something absolutely very, very usual and very normal. But what they should be afraid of, though, is they have not won a game, in their last 4 games. They do not have a win in their last 4. They started off so well, and they're dropping at a very, very fast rate. They're dropping at a very, very fast rate. They do not have a win in their last 4 games. If they do not win their coming fixture, that means they will not have a win in 5 out of their last 5 fixtures, and that is a little bit, scary. With the likes of West Ham United and Everton and Arsenal, coming to claim their places, which you think, should be rightfully challenged for by clubs like Brighton, who have had a very good season. They need to win games. They need to collect points. They started off well. I think they played weaker opponents, and now that the real test, the big tests, have been submitted on the table, they're actually trembling and quaking under pressure. But I think one of the things you're gonna have to talk about in that game is the performance of Phil Foden. I think he's for me, he's miraculous. He's just miraculous. I've tried to compare him to many players in the Premier League, especially players of his age. I thought Greenwood, maybe I thought Mason Mount. Mount scored a hat-trick today, and Mount had a very, very good game against Norwich. But I think if you compare the two, Mount and Phil Foden's performances against Brighton, against Norwich, I think, look, Mason Mount scores, the goals Mason Mount scored, especially the first goal, is a typical English midfielder goal, a typical Mason Mount goal, right? And then the penalty and so on and so forth. But Foden, the goals he scores you know, there is quality. There is quality in that boy. There is absolute quality. And I think the 7-year contract Manchester City are looking at to give the youngster absolutely deserves him. It absolutely deserves him. So that's it. City win at the Amex, 4-1. And finally, I think they'll be trying to go back to on top of the table. They're second at the moment, 2 points behind Chelsea. If Liverpool win, they'll go second and City will be third. Unless Manchester United win or Tottenham Hotspur. Actually, if Spurs get a point, they will be above. They will ultimately be above Brighton. If West Ham get a point as well, they will also be above Brighton. Apart from that, the loss really doesn't affect Brighton so much. I think the worst they can be is 7th, from 4th to 7th. I don't think that's really bad for Brighton. They need to look for their next win as well. Smash a like on the video, subscribe, and I'll speak to you in the next one.